Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. We're going to be entering into executive session for a short time before our regular meeting. So Deb, want to make a motion?
Motion to enter into executive session for union negotiations and strategy discussion regarding the contract for the Boyden Library Employees Association, MLSA, MFT, AFT, AFL-CIO, a side letter of agreement between the Town of Foxborough and the Department of Public Works Employees Union, AFSME, Local 1702, the Foxborough DPW Employees Union, AFSCME, Local 1702, Unit A, and the Foxborough DPW Unions Employees Union, AFSCME, Local 1702, Unit B.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor with the roll
Bill.
call?
Bill, yes.
Stephanie, yes?
Debbie, yes?
Dennis, yes.
All right, great. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Took us a little bit longer than anticipated, but we're back into regular session. And Bill's going to give us, we're going to do citizens, we'll start with citizens input first?
You can do pledge allegiance.
Oh, and the pledge, yes, exactly. All right. The anthem? Catherine, I'm going to pick on you. Will you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I always look out and decide who I'm going to pick on. Stuff. Okay, anybody for citizens input? Anybody?
There is, just, thank you so much,
Oh,
Mike.
something to read in, or?
Yes, please, if you could pass that down. Thank you very much.
Okay, so, this was two-page and the board? Or two-page?
It's 2-page, but the resident did request that it be read into the record,
Okay,
please.
sounds good, okay. Okay, Paige. A little closer. Paige, I am writing as Chair of the Design Review Board. While we review projects within the Design Review Overlay District, we were not consulted on the proposed electronic sign. In our meeting this afternoon, we had concerns about electronic communication on the Common and would prefer to see a tasteful "Welcome to Foxborough" sign and have communication advised elsewhere, advertised elsewhere. In addition, the Design Review Board is disappointed that we have not been consulted in matters concerning the Common as part of the Overlay District. Respectfully, Maureen Kraus, Design Review Board. So just as, kind of as a point of order, I'm not going to so much answer this because we don't do that for citizens input, but I just think because I just read it, it's a good time to say it was just brought up in a meeting. It was a discussion.
There's a point, yeah.
Exactly.
Classic spitballing.
Exactly. For a discussion at another time. This would involve votes at town meeting for zoning changes, for the sign bylaw changes, and because I don't know, in the Reporter last week, there were a couple of letters too. So nothing is, so people at home watching, there is nothing going forward. It was brought up as a discussion to be discussed a little bit later, and so nobody is changing the signs at this point, you
And
know.
it was solely a discussion based on the communication plan that was being presented.
Exactly.
For the town as we move forward, so.
Exactly.
It was just an item, a tick mark on that as an option of things that we could do in the future, and that we should look at.
Exactly. So the Board of Selectmen, I think I read that we should be consulting, and it was a conversation, that's all. Nothing is happening to those signs at this point anyhow. We'll see what happens down the road. Okay, hold on, I lost my, I got logged out. But we are gonna, we're gonna go into a vote for collective bargaining units, and I'm gonna let, before we take the should we take the motion first? And then You can just, okay, give us the motion, Devin.
Motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the Boyden Library Employee Association, MLSA, MFT, AFT, AFL-CIO.
Second.
Okay, under discussion, Bill?
So under discussion, synopsis of the basic changes, or the salient ones at least. Increase of 3%, 2.5% in 27, and 2.5% in 28. The 3% is 26. The addition of a 20-year step that's 2% higher than the previous 15-year step. A floating holiday only, recognizing when somebody has to work on a holiday that would have been a paid holiday. The longevity, a small increase of $25 per step on the longevity, and a small modification to holidays. And that's basically the base. There is an increased advanced study program stipend for an MLS master's degree. Previously, there was an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree stipend. So I think those are the major components of that, the library change.
Okay, and I guess maybe even just to add, in some of the contracts we've already voted on, a couple of people have asked about the 3%, where we've kind of stayed under 2.5%. The 3% in that first year is we're finding that we're falling a little bit short with other towns, what the pay is, and so that 3% is kind of catching us up a little bit.
No, I thought we had agreed that the 3% was the max that they could go to.
But
Now,
I-
in some contracts, it's
Yeah.
only 2.5 because they did
Okay.
use the money for other things.
Okay, I thought some of them that were 1%, we were saying that it was, that the 3% was a little catch-up? Or am I wrong, Mike?
The first year of the last CBA was, I apologize, Madam Chair, but the first year of the last CBA was 1.5%, and that did in terms of our comps and in where other towns were during that time. It did really set us back a little bit, but again, there was an overarching, strategy with cost and everything else that we followed here.
Yeah, so we're just giving a little bit in that first year, then we're going back down to the 2%, just trying to catch up a little bit where we fell behind from last year. Anybody else, anything they want to add? Jack, anything?
Nope.
All right, we can take motion to vote.
We did. All in favor?
Yeah, we did take the motion to vote, right? Okay, all right, seconded, discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve a side letter of agreement between the Town of Foxborough and the Department of Public Works Employees Union, AFSME, Local 1702.
Unit A. Should say Unit A.
Excuse me, Employees Union, AFSME, Local 1702.
And that's just the separation of the
Right.
two,
Right.
Of the
I'm just saying,
one
so it
and
should
the
say
two?
Unit A, though, is what we're voting on tonight.
the separation, is just the separation from one, into A and
Voting
B.
separation
Yeah.
first, I'm sorry,
Okay.
my bad.
Yep. Okay, did you-
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So just, though, we should at least say what that is.
Yeah, I was
So
thinking that as
basically,
soon as I
there
said all
there
those.
were previously under this local, there were two different groups, the Highway, Tree and Park, and the Water Department. So what was agreed to out of the last contract negotiation, that it would be the last contract to have the two groups together, and it would be separated into a Unit A, which would be Highway, Tree and Park, and a Unit B that would be Water, and they would be negotiated separately through a contract form. So this is, basically doing that separation.
Okay. Last one, Deb, right?
Motion to approve the collective bargaining unit agreement for the Foxborough DPW Employees Union, AFSCME, Local 1702, Unit A.
Second.
Any discussion?
So basic discussion on this one is the increments from the COLA point of view were a little convoluted, but 3% in FY '26, except one group, which is the heavy equipment operator and mechanic, basically because of a study that was determined that their rates are below where they need to be as far as what we consider to be equal across the board. They are actually not getting an increase at all, but they are getting a step realignment as part of theirs, meaning that step 1 and 2 are going to be dropped. Step 3 becomes their new step 1. And that should make their general pays in line with what we're seeing out in the general public. FY '27 would be 2.5, FY '28 would be 2.5% increases. Again, new step 20, that's 2% higher than the old step 15. And a couple modifications to things like the welding certification that went from $1,050 to $1,100, so a $50 increase. And also a small increase relative to members who have their CDL licenses, which obviously is sought after. And a couple minor modifications, employee clothing allowance at $800. Other basic wording changes that deal with holidays and stuff are minor in sense. So those are the bigger financial impacts.
Okay, anybody else want to add anything? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the Foxborough DPW
No.
Employees Union.
No, we're not doing that one.
We're not doing Unit B?
No. They haven't ratified.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay. Good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, discussion about annual town meeting. Catherine, you're up.
Good evening, all. I don't know if you received my handouts at all, but I can pass these out if you don't have them.
That would be great.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So,
And really, just as a review, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, we're bringing up 4 people with specific warrant articles that we feel, before we vote on them, need a little bit more understanding or clarification
Absolutely.
from us.
Right.
The rest is pretty,
The rest we've already
Cut
dealt
and
with
dry.
internally, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Doc.
you're welcome.
okay, so I'm Catherine Feerick, Director of Land Use and Economic Development. I'm here tonight to discuss changes to our floodplain overlay district bylaw. The impetus for this was that FEMA updated their floodplain maps. Those maps correspond to coverage under the National Flood Insurance Program, and this affects 57 properties, according to FEMA's correspondence with us within the town of Foxborough. We need to update our language to reflect the new maps and any DEP subsequent commentary, basically, and you'll see that these are pretty minor changes to it, just to make sure that those people who are affected by the National Flood Insurance Program can continue to access that for their properties. So the process for revision, staff in our office worked with the liaison at DCR to ensure the bylaw incorporated their language as well as meeting the needs of the federal government. The submitted bylaw language that is, before you all for the warrant is, it was approved by DCR on February 25th. So it's all good to go. It is fully compliant with both the FEMA changes as well as DCR changes. I bullet pointed for your easy reference, and I'll probably include this in for town meeting as well, the substantive changes within the draft bylaw. Most of them I have in bold that they were a modification required by DCR. A couple items the town chose to include just for basically convenience sake, or where things no longer worked for us. So the substantive changes include the addition of 2 different types of zones. Does not affect Foxborough at all, but they're referenced on the new map, so we just need to include new categories of floodplain that don't exist here. That's all. There's a date.
Velocity zones?
What was that?
Those are velocity zones?
They're. I don't remember exactly what they stood for. It's been a couple months since I've looked at it. I just know they don't apply to us. There's a date change just to reflect the new maps rather than referencing the 2015 map, referencing the 2025 map. We did decide as a town, this is one of the town changes that we're requesting, floodplain administrator. We asked the building commissioner, we asked the town manager, we talked internally. Basically, everybody agreed that the building commissioner should be the point of contact for the flood administrator for the town, which replaces the town manager that's in the bylaw currently. It just makes more sense. The building commissioner has to verify these things anyway in the course of his duties. The next item is clarification of encroachment languages, which just demonstrates that encroachments wouldn't exacerbate flooding conditions. This was a DCR requirement for us. We, again, as town staff, decided to remove addresses within the bylaw because we had a series of, we will contact this person at this agency at this physical address, and these days, you use email to correspond with these agencies anyway. So for the sake of convenience and also not having to change those addresses when offices relocate, which has happened since we originally wrote the bylaws, we decided to just remove the addresses. We'll know how to contact them when we need to. They're very good at reaching out. Then just clarifying that the new language applies only to projects of a certain size and scale. Again, that was a DCR one, as well as clarifying variance requirements. We decided just to be crystal clear in our language under section 9.3.72 that an insertion that the proposed variances must comply with state law as well as local bylaws, just to cover our bases in case the state is more strict than we are in any given situation. So that's it. They're pretty minor changes, but we just need to make sure that our residents that rely on the National Flood Insurance Program can continue to access that.
So can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So when you say 57 properties are affected, is that 57 new properties are being affected that weren't affected previously for the flood zone?
No, they're existing properties. There are no new properties that are affected with the maps being redrawn.
Okay, so it didn't expand
No.
the scope of it. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Catherine?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Do we want to, as we get the information, do we want to vote quickly then, or do you want to vote on them all at the end?
We haven't voted on any of them yet, so I thought we would go right down through them.
But-
We said we would vote the whole group,
yeah.
but if anybody wants to hold
that's
on,
right,
we'd hold
that's
it,
right.
but-
Right.
We're gonna, might do like 1 through
Right,
4 or
right,
something like
right,
that,
yeah.
okay. All right. All right, perfect, okay. And then, Chris back on?
Chris, you with us?
Is he on?
I see him on the Zoom, but maybe he had to step away to Water and Sewer Board.
Oh, he's doing water and sewer right now. We can skip him, circle back.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, you're up.
Hello, everybody. Matthew Brennan, Director of Public Health. How are you?
Good.
So I guess the Health Department and the Board of Health, we have two things on the warrant this year. One is a revision of Chapter 99, the cigarette rolling paper. So some people probably didn't even know, but rolling papers first became prohibited in Foxborough in 1994. A lot of things have changed since 1994. So right now, the way it's written, someone can't sell a rolling paper, but they can sell tubes, cones, wraps, all these other things. So this kind of just keeps the town doing the same exact thing. It just brings it into, more relevant terms today. So it adds a definition. It also adds an enforcement agent, which it didn't have before. We're typically the ones that do tobacco enforcement, and we're the ones doing. So we added the Board of Health as an authorized agent. But besides that, everything is pretty much the same. And that's basically what we did for that.
So we're going to be able to sell them or not be able to sell them?
So we discussed this at the Board of Health, and this is our recommendation to keep it the same as it was. And we've always prohibited them since 1994.
Yep.
So it would stay the same. We would prohibit them.
Yep. Well, and the reason why I was asking is, like, we all think about the roll of papers for people to roll marijuana, but believe it or not, cigarettes, I don't smoke myself, but I have some friends that cigarettes are so expensive now that they buy the bags of tobacco and roll their own cigarettes because it's more cost effective, so. Okay, super. Anybody, nope. Any other questions for that one? Nope. All right, Matt, you're up again.
Okay, so the next one it's a little bit different. It's basically the general administration enforcement and appeal provision that we wanted to add. What we wanted to do is there's actually a guide that towns are supposed to use for bylaw enforcement that the state gives out. And we want to meet that guide. We want to be able to fine properly. Right now we use, basically it's a reinspection fee for a lot of things unless we're using Mass General Law, which allows us to do the fining. But some things in like Massachusetts, like the state sanitary code doesn't allow us to just go ahead and fine someone. We need it to be in a bylaw in order to do that. So this is why we like to do this, because what happens is if I say give someone a reinspection fee, those are usually the good operators. Sometimes we have a bad operator. For example, we had someone that, was letting the business, they were selling it, they were running down, and we actually, they weren't doing a good job running the business anymore. We suspended them, and they said, no, I'm not suspending it. And then I said, okay, well, I'll issue this fee, you know what I mean? And then they get out of town, and they don't pay it, and there's no recourse for that. This way, there's recourse. It's illegal, it's on the bylaw, we can give it to, the court, the clerks, there's a way to put it on taxes. It's just the proper way to do it, and that's what we're trying to do here, is just making sure we're doing things the proper way. So that's basically what this is, and you can see that we added, I went over this with the Board of Health. This is the Board of Health recommendations for all our Board of Health regulations, as well as everything we inspect in the community for the state sanitary codes, like the housing code, the food code. It goes through everything. So I brought the state's guide for Mass General Law and non-criminal disposition and enforcing that. And again, that's basically what we're trying to do with this one.
Any questions?
No?
Makes sense.
That Matt, two easy ones.
Okay, all right,
Hi, Matt, thank you.
thank you.
All right. And if Chris is still busy with water, we could just go to Paige and then come back to him, and then just vote after that, so we can save a little time. Chris, are you there? Paige, you want to do your update?
Sure, let me just text him and let him know.
Okay.
Board ready when you are. Because my
that
update's
helps him
pretty
to do
short.
what he's got to do with the water. We can do
Okay.
that and just come back to it.
Let me find my update. Here it is. Okay. Okay, so for my around town updates, just a reminder to all the residents that the election's coming up on May 5th, which is just over a month away, and town meeting is on May 12th. It's at 7 p.m. at the high school auditorium. We're going to have the annual town meeting warrant review on Monday, April 28th at noon in the Gala meeting room, and it's also broadcast and then rebroadcast on Foxborough Cable Access. I'll be attending the TRIC, which is a subregion of our regional Planning District, MAPC. I will be attending a legislative breakfast on Friday morning in Norwood, and select board members are invited if you'd like to attend as well. It's always a good opportunity to talk to your legislator and find out. I'll be going to see what's going on with that auditorium. And then I don't know if you all saw the news today about some concerns being raised around World Cup. And I think it was the Secretary of Public Safety came out today indicating concern about the funding for this security and whatnot, all the things associated with World Cup, where we haven't yet figured out from federal, state type financing. Our understanding is the governor's budget does not include any funding. We're not sure that we would be seeing any from the federal government, so it's something we're keeping our eye on. I'm sure it'll all work out, but it was sent to me several times today, so we're keeping an eye on that. Just a reminder that Walnut Knoll applications are available. Last I heard, believe it or not, the applications are coming in slow. So folks, there may be an opportunity to get in, send them in, and a reminder that there's 2 phases. So if you don't get in the first phase, you might get into the second one. And last I heard, they were operating ahead of schedule and might even open as early as August 1st. So stay tuned to the website and their actual information, but that's what I'm hearing through my connections. And then lastly, Steph and I signed a proclamation last week because the board hadn't met, but for Mike Weber to recognize and honor him for 25 years of service from Foxboro Cable Access. They had a nice ceremony last weekend for him and his friends and family, and all the cable access folks were there. So I was not able to attend, but we do want to acknowledge Mike Weber, and I think, and Stephanie and I, that we both could agree that what he stepped up to do during COVID. And then, they say yes to us for everything, and not every local cable access company operates that way. So we really can't appreciate Mike Weber anymore. Personnel boards still have 2 openings. And then for kids looking for jobs, we do have junior counselors, recreation instructor assistants, summer recreational counselor. Those jobs are all posted. And then we do have a DPW water tech still up. And lastly, on use of town property, we have the JC Concerts on the Common for 2025. It's June 12th, 19th, 26th, July 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th and 31st, and then August 7th and 14th. And as you know, they stop early just in case there are any rain dates. They have a little time to make it up. And that's all I have.
All right, great. Paige, Chris, we
Okay,
can
so
keep going.
Chris is in water and sewer. He said he spoke to Bill
no worries.
earlier.
We'll keep going, see if we can grab him at the end. All right,
Perfect.
under select board update, I just wanted to personally thank, obviously, most people know that I lost my husband a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to thank the many people who sent me texts, emails, cards with condolences, especially this board for your support, Katie and Paige, in a rough time. It's nice to know that you have people that are standing behind you. So thank you to everybody who reached out to me. It was much appreciated. Also, we have to stay in that topic. Unfortunately, we lost I like to use the word treasure with the passing of Joni Goodwin. There's too many stories to mention. I mean, she was such a part of Foxboro Touchdown Club. Doc, you were the president for a lot of that time, worked very closely with her. Foxboro Cable Access actually put on, when we dedicated the Ahern Field to Coach Martinelli, and it was Jimmy introducing Mrs. Goodwin to come up and speak. So it was kind of, all of a sudden, I'm on Facebook and I hear Jimmy's voice and I look down, and so it was him and Mrs. Goodwin. And so anyhow, that was kind of nice. She meant a lot to a lot of people in town. And so she's going to be sorely missed. I don't know if anybody has anything else they want to add about Joni, or Doc, do you have anything?
Oh, she was wonderful.
Yeah, truly.
You know, if Mr. Othelet was Mr. Foxborough, she was certainly Mrs. or
Exactly.
Ms. Foxborough.
Exactly. I refer to her as the queen,
Queen, yeah, absolutely.
the queen, and obviously
Having
Deb.
grown up in Foxborough
Yeah.
as a kid, she was Mrs. Goodwin. And then when we became, and she went to many of our weddings, we became parents ourselves, and she was still Mrs. Goodwin.
Always.
Always Mrs. Goodwin.
Exactly. I just want to share one other quick story. So when I came on the board, it was, that was the COVID year. So I had a discussion with some of the gentlemen that I was running with, and they, you know, as a group, we decided that we weren't going to hold signs on the common, like on Saturdays, just because, you know, because COVID. And but I got a phone call from Mrs. Goodwin, and she said, "I want to hold a sign for you." And I said, "Oh, we're not going to hold signs." And she said, "No, I always hold a sign." And you know, first of all, I was like, if she was backing you up, that, you know, for me, that was a great thing to get a phone call from her. But she did show up on the day of the election, and I have at home a picture of my mom and her sitting in folding chairs, you know, socially distanced and with masks on, and they're each holding a Steph McGowan for a select board sign, and an umbrella, because it was very, very sunny out. And it was a special moment, because not only was my mother, but somebody else who I looked up tremendously that I met from becoming a resident in Foxborough. So I just wanted to share that little story too. All right, great, all right. All right, anybody else have anything a little happier for Selectmen's update? Anything new, old that you want to share? No, okay. All right, okay, so why don't we do the action items, and then we'll see if Chris can come back.
Motion to approve the pool table renewal applications from Crazy Axes, Foxborough LLC, DBA Crazy Axes, 202 Patriot Place, VFW of the United States, Inc., DBA Foxborough VFW, Post 2026, 337 Cohasset Street, Laced Pizza and Pub, DBA Laced Pizza and Pub, 94 Washington Street, and T&O Walker, Inc., DBA Valley Point Inn and Pub, 9 Mechanic Street, to expire April 30th, 2026.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Select Board meeting minutes from March 18th, 2025.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Might I make a suggestion while we're waiting for Chris?
I think I can maybe do at least one of them, I know, because I talked to Chris earlier today. So if we want to go back and at least look at those and then see.
Yeah, Chris did mention that.
Well, I was going to say, other than Chris, my suggestion would be, with the exception of his two and maybe 26, 27, I'd like to see maybe vote, if anybody else has anything, the rest as a group and save time.
Yeah, absolutely. We could do that, and then why don't we,
Well, Chris's thing is actually pretty simple.
okay.
Okay.
He only has one.
All right,
Oh, I thought
and
it was,
it's Article 24 on the sewer map.
Oh, yeah.
So this is basically dealing when we approved last year at the town meeting to put the Taylor School, and the Foxborough Country Club into the sewer district. We didn't include the houses along the way, which we did when we did Main Street. We included the houses all the way up to 76. So that's basically what the change is on the sewer map, is to incorporate those in. Into the sewer district itself. So we're coming right down that entire road on North High to the Taylor School, which probably is only missing about 6 houses after that would not be on it. But this would give them the option of connecting to the sewer as well. I will say and that's all being funded by a grant. So what I'm about to say doesn't really carry. And I'm on my personal side, not representing Chris now. But the water and sewer, when it was originally put in, basically it was not done with betterments. And it seems to me going forward at this point, especially if the town is expanding the system someplace, and not being done through a grant. These are being done through a grant, the federal or state is paying for it, I'm not really that concerned, but when the town is paying for it, it to me, does at least warrant a discussion on whether or not going forward, because at some point in time, in the future, more sewer can be done, but it's going to be held back if you don't have a betterment charge for it, number one. Number two, every one of those houses that you're putting this sewer line past, you have enriched that property value significantly. If they had a septic system failure, when the sewer was put in, you could put a septic system in for $10,000, $15,000. It's now $100,000 to put a sewer system, septic system in, if you can get your property to perk. So there's a huge benefit to residents that are now getting that. When the original sewer was put in, it was put in because we had some concerning issues. Obviously, downtown was a big one. And then we had the neighborhoods behind the 99 because they had failing systems because of the materials. And nobody wanted to approve it because they were all afraid of huge betterment charges. But I think in the future, it really is something that needs to be brought up and discussed, because it's going to be very hard to expand the sewer system much further on the backs of, the regular taxpayers too. So, and that's what's happening, quite honestly, on Main Street, is if we fund it through the 76 Main Street project, we have funded for all of those houses, all they have to do is pay a connection fee and a flow fee. Not a bad deal. So, and again, that's what it is now, but I just think it's something that should be brought up for future discussion.
So, Bill, I heard the term betterment. Is the betterment is when we put the...
You can do it a number of ways. You can do it when someone connects, or you can do it as it goes by them. Some towns do, if I'm coming down the street, everybody is assessed a betterment, whether they connect or not. But there's no requirement to do that. You can have the betterment at a time only when someone connects. So if I don't connect ever, I'm not paying the betterment. But the second I go to connect, I've got to pay that betterment.
Yeah.
So what you're suggesting would be an amount would be determined ahead of time.
Which is basically you look at it as the cost of the thing.
Yeah.
So if it's coming down the street, costs you $100,000 and there's 10 houses on it, and you make a determination it's either a lot or it's by frontage, and then but if it was just 10, you'd say okay, that 100,000 is 10,000.
Yeah, so the
per person.
betterment could be
Right.
determined based on
Right.
on where the line is going, how many homes, how far,
Right.
what the cost is for the line.
Which is huge, because when you think about it, the 10,000 plus what, 10, 12,000 to hook up?
Yeah.
$22,000 is a hell of a lot less money
Right.
Yeah.
than,
But
And
I want to.
the
The reason I want to point this out.
property
The reason I want to
value
point
is
this
huge,
out because I want you to see how extreme this actually is going to be. In the one we're doing now on 76 Main Street, we're going by a piece of property that is now out of service. That's 40 some odd acres. You want to buy a piece of property? I suggest you look at it now, because they will have the right to that sewer connection.
Yeah.
And not one sewer connection, but for whatever it is for 45 acres. So that's my point, is we shouldn't be in the business of enriching that side of things. If we have problem areas in town that, are a DEP concern or an EPA concern, yes, that's when the town has to have ownership to it. But when we have just decided to expand a system, we're going to need those resources to expand it. And I just think it's something, again,
discussion.
everybody may say, I'm all wet, that's fine, but I just think it's something that people should understand and talk about, so.
So, and this is to this article.
No, this
No,
article,
no,
all
no,
this
no,
article
no.
is doing
You
is it's expanding the sewer district on North High Street and Walnut Street to cover the properties that were going by that weren't covered. All that was covered at the time was the Foxborough
yeah.
Country Club and the Taylor
Yeah,
School.
yeah,
And we didn't do that on Main Street. When we came down Main Street, we said if we're coming down Main Street, it's everything that
yeah.
goes
So,
on.
so if it was, if the line was coming with a grant, then do you feel like we wouldn't charge those people, or no?
Well, if it's being
kinda-
funded by a grant, it's already being covered by somebody.
It's hard
Right,
to,
right.
to charge,
Right.
but, and that's just the luck of the draw for
Yep.
somebody.
For them.
If, yeah, okay,
So,
awesome.
So now, other than Article 26 and 27, I would suggest let's, if everybody's okay with it,
which are the two
Doc,
contracts?
Doc, you don't have it posted for a vote, I don't think.
oh, okay.
You know what?
We don't have it posted for a vote.
Oh,
Okay, well, we could add it to,
okay.
To the next agenda.
Okay, that's fine.
And there's actually a date on it, so like it says like you vote on it on this day, which is the 15th.
okay, never mind.
Well, and you know something too, I
Which is
get-
fine, we might have a
yeah.
couple of more contracts completed by then too, then, hopefully.
That also gives us, if somebody else something else has come up, to reach out
Yep.
to somebody for any of the warrant articles.
I'll say the same thing
Okay.
on the 15th.
All right, perfect. So we're good. Paige, you have anything else for us? Did she already? bang
No,
out?
she's there, but
Oh,
you're muted.
Yep.
Oh,
There you are.
I don't, oh, okay, sorry. I said, no, I do not have
Anything you wanted to add
anything else.
about the discussion we had with the, any of these articles?
No, they were all straightforward.
All right, perfect. All right, I think we can take a motion, Deb.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.